If they can define, then they can confine. I want to make sure that you remember that, so say it with me. If they can define, then they can confine. You see?
Someone who's being really loud and bothersome to the public, you sort of know it when you see it. And I don't think council has ever thought that if there's a protest, you want to stop people from saying what they think, if it's a one-off or that sort of thing. But we're talking about sort of constant, daily, loud, either buskers or preachers at the same spot day after day after day, and at some point it becomes enough. And so we're trying to figure out the way, in my view, to mitigate that, to keep that sound level down to a reasonable amount. So if it's a one-off protest, I don't think anyone's got an issue with that.
Any words you'd like to share for Citizen Free News?
God has said, unless I see the nail prints in his hands and his feet, then I will not.
The team has won a major title. The fans go crazy, 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 crazy. And crazy nicely describes the behavior in
Against the allegations being made against them. If you are not already aware, all 4 men were arrested between February 13th and February 14th, 2022. and have been in custody ever since. Having been denied bail, they do not have the ability to work, take care of their families, or fundraise for their legal defense. Over the past 332 days, we have watched thousands of violent repeat offenders released on bail within hours of arrest all over the country. It is my belief that everyone deserves the right to maintain their innocence until they have been convicted based on evidence presented in a court of law. And I say the words, court of law. As we know, the federal government has extremely deep pockets. Our men do not.
And I'm going to charge those responsible. Justice demands restitution. Father God, bring us justice back into this land. Give us justice back in Alberta.
I want to make a few things clear. If they, and when I say they, I'm talking about the harp-right neocons, if they can define, then they can confine. I want to make sure that you remember that, so say it with me. If they can define, then they can confine. You see, they say the bill C-51 is to stop terrorism, but you see, the problem is they control the definition. They decide what terrorism is. You want to protest unfair work conditions, and you have a strike, which is one of your foundational democratic rights, they can just call that terrorism. You want to protect the environment, they can just call that terrorism. You want to have a demonstration on anything to work in favor of the rights of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people, they can call that terrorism. Because the fact is, and you know it, you already said it, if they can define, then they can confine. So what does C-51 give them the evil supervillain powers to do? Let's have a look. They can arrest people because they claim that a crime may be carried out instead of will be carried out. Now imagine how that works. Imagine if you could insist that your boss will pay you because you may work. You don't do that. But they want the powers to arrest you because a crime, not even one that is connected to you, might be committed. They want preventative detention, which is already an attack on freedom, which is currently at 3 days. They want the power to arrest you and throw you into a cell somewhere for 7 days. 7 days, no real charges, just a claim that you may be involved in something bad. That's straight out of Minority Report, the movie, where they think they can see the future, or at least they tell you they can arrest you before you've done anything wrong.
How many years?